Hey, y'all, welcome back to the podcast. I have taken a month off. It was really weird, but it was a little difficult to get back here, just to be honest. I have on a little vintage Southern and Healthy logo, by the way. You see it, Darlene?
I do. I love it.
Everyone, welcome Darlene to the podcast. This is where we have the little clappy button.
Hello, everybody.
I don't really have one of those. I don't have a podcast team. I have had people, why don't you have clappy hands and all this stuff? I'm like Serena and Pearl and their team of 1,000,000 people. It's just me, myself, and Irene over here. Me, myself, and Darlene. Okay. So this is Darlene. She has been a client for a year and a minute. And she also helps me with all the things. I'm not even going to start listing because I'll mess up. But she helps me with everything. And I said, will you please be on the podcast with me and help me with things? And she was like, yeah. What did you say? You could be my what?
You're Barbara Walters.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I get to interview you like Barbara Walters. And I tried to do it in a British accent. And then I remembered that Barbara Walters is
It wasn't. Is she dead? Did she die? Barbara Walters.
So. I think
oh, bless her heart. Well,
yeah.
She was a good girl. We liked her.
I know.
On one of the I was listening to a podcast recently, and Serene was talking about Phil Donahue and Sarah Jesse Raphael or whatever. Do you remember that? That was so funny.
So funny. That's so funny.
So Darlene is at home with her 5,000 kids. She actually has 4, but we're just going to give her some grace, but it's going to be great. So what she's going to do is a lot of people turned in questions when I had my 6-year Trimiversary, and we're just going to go through a few of them because I couldn't find anybody to interview this week. So bless some of my clients. They need to get together. Y'all need to shout out to these people because they're nervous about talking. And they also don't think that they have anything to tell. And I'm like, if you tried THM for a week, you've got a story.
Yeah.
But whatever.
It is. I think everyone has so far that you've had on for sure has had such important things. And they usually start out the same way. Like, I feel I'm really nervous and I don't know what I'm going to say.
I do. And then it's like incredible. But anyway, So without further ado.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right.
I have no idea what she's about to ask me.
So I went through the list and we selected a few. And yes, she did not get any pre-warnings or prep time for these. So a lot of the ladies have a lot of the same questions too. Yeah. And so some of them you can tell are really, really wanting to know how you don't burn out. And I know you've talked about this before, but it's that when you have all the things, the children, the family, the household to run, how you aren't getting burnt out on THM.
Yeah. Well, I love it. Yeah. And I think you have to, I didn't at first. I actually got aggravated. And that's part of my story is that I got aggravated with it because I was cooking every blooming thing that went in my mouth, or using a recipe rather, because I do cook a lot. You have to cook your food, people. But I was using recipes for everything. And that is very stressful because you're having to get the cookbook out and then the 411 ingredients. And I don't have Glucky. Can I make this? Like that's how I felt when I first started because I didn't buy the ingredients right off. It took me a good 6 months to start thinking, okay, I'm really going to do this. I can invest in these products because I get that. I do. And I encourage my buds, especially, don't feel like you have to buy all the things and do all the things. I even tell them, like for the sweet tooth, let's choose these few things or make single serve instead of Esther's Cake of Wonders. Let's just not start out with that. Okay. So, avoiding the burnout, I think pace yourself, just like with CrossFit. You can start a workout and like push really, really hard. You're not going to make it to the end well. It's the same thing. You have to start out slow. And that's why the whole start out with 1 meal a day on plan work. If it takes you 3 months to get that down, who cares? It's better than it was last week. So, I mean, it won't take that long, but because you're going to have that desire to eat healthy. Yeah. That's what I think. I think take it slow.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. That makes the most sense. Mm-hmm. Not trying to, and like you said, you have to eat. So everyone has to eat.
Yeah. You have to eat. So choose wisely. But now how I've been able to do it for 6 years, it's my lifestyle. I know that sounds super cliche and people probably roll their eyes, but truly that is what it is. I don't even consider, like last night I went to a restaurant and I got a bunless burger. It would never occur to me to eat the bun. I don't, I'm that girl that doesn't eat a bun, like whatever. I just don't. And I don't have left outs on that at all.
Right.
I've been saying that a lot, the left outs.
Yeah. Well, I think it's super common. I think that that's something that people feel when they have vacations or family events and stuff. That I think people have been asking you that a lot, like that feeling. How do you get past that feeling? But I understand that's the perfect example, because I don't think I do that either anymore, is order a burger with a bun on it. You just,
and if it comes with the bun, because I forgot, because people can't read my mind that I don't want it, I just take it off and I put it in the trash and I don't eat it. I mean, feed a bird. I don't know.
Yeah. It'd be like anything, like if you didn't like onions or you didn't like.
Oh, that's good.
Right. I mean, you just take it
pickles.
off.
I'm just going to take the pickles off. It's not that big a deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't like anything like that. Pickles.
You and you're going to go get some jarred okra.
Nope, sure not.
So this one kind of rolls into that one, because you kind of mentioned it a little bit.
You're so good at this.
Oh boy. I was singing my fingers.
Okay, what's next?
Reviewing meals, like when you look at your meals. So a couple questions. I wasn't sure if they were talking about in your coaching, how you advertise that you review meals, or if it's how you review your personal meals. Yeah. So I couldn't really tell, because it was basically just asking, how do you review your meals? So I'm going to say, I think it's more about you.
Me. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe how I consider what fuels I'm going to have in a day.
Right. Or like when you say you're going to take a picture and you're going to have everything all together, like when you look at it, do you have to look at it anymore and like really make sure? No,
I do not anymore. No. Well, sometimes I'll like, especially if it's leftovers, I'll get the leftovers on the plate and I'm like, bro, we need some more on here, and so then I'll pull in typically freshies, which freshies to me is a mini cucumber, mini sweet peppers, a couple of carrots, if a couple of little tiny tomatoes, if I have them in any fuel mode, I would do that. And then, you can always pull in a side salad, but I don't normally do a side salad just because if I'm gonna have a salad, I'm just gonna have a salad with meat on top. That's what I'm gonna do. But another little thing that I do is if I have dessert with a meal, it will be pictured with the meal, because it is one fueling to me. That's how I see it. That has been asked a lot lately in coaching. I don't know if you've noticed that. What do I do with these desserts? Well, you could have it for breakfast if you want to. I remember the first time I made glazed crumb cake and Trim Healthy Cook. But by the way, if y'all have not watched that video, do yourself a favor and watch it. It is one of the best. If you want to get to know me before coaching, that's a great one to watch. But bless it. Oh, it was so funny. It has to do with eggs. So I remember that the first time that I made that, I wanted to eat that so bad. I literally had a hunk of it for lunch with freshies and like some lean Canadian bacon or something. And that was my lunch. And guess what? It's okay. It's on plan. Just because it's dessert doesn't mean it's bad and naughty. No, you can have it. It's 100% on plan. Right. And that one's made with baking blend, not almond flour. So it's lower on the calorie scale. We do not count calories, praise the Lord, but it is good to be mindful of them,
Yeah.
Yeah, but right. I do look at my plate and I eat on a salad plate, and I always want to make sure, that I have my protein, my fat or my carb, and my non-starchies. They're going to take up half of the plate, sometimes more, probably.
And I think getting in that mindset of doing it, like asking yourself those questions, because I think that's something definitely learned with your coaching, is like when you look at it, okay, I have this and I have this and I have this.
And fill that thing up with non-starchies. Yeah. Fill that salad plate up. Yes.
Very good. Let's see. Staying full. So this would be, I guess, tied into that idea too, with your plate and filling it up. People ask, how do you make it to that? How do you feel full and satiated until you have to eat again, where it's not cutting it short, like at the 2-hour mark, where people are like, okay,
that blows my mind. I don't know that I've ever done that where I haven't been satisfied longer. Well, like at 2 hours, I'm starving. That is very rare for me.
Yeah.
And can you imagine wanting to eat every 2 hours? How do you have time to do anything else? But whatever. I'm sure it hits people, but I think you have to go back and look at that plate, just like I said. Did you have your protein? I love my protein. You would have. Did you see what I had this morning? It was like a huge, we ate out at a restaurant after CrossFit, and it was a big old serving of eggs, but it had peppers and onions and mushrooms in it. Oh, so good. And then I also had bacon and a sausage patty. And then the girl I was with, Tiffany, she was like, "Oh, I forgot my collagen." I'm like, you don't need collagen with this. We have plenty of protein. She's like, "Oh yeah." And then we had some berries too. So that was great. But yeah, always go back and look. Did I have adequate protein? If you don't know how much protein's in something, Google will tell you any day. All day long, it'll tell you how much protein's in something. I like to use my hand for a lot of things for my protein. Is my protein going to fit in my hand? That's pretty good. Yeah. Of course, protein powders, just look at the label and read the numbers on that. And then did you have your fat for S? Do you have a carb source for E? And then the rest of it's non-starchies. If you don't like vegetables, honestly, I'm going to be ugly right here. I don't care. You need to eat them. Because the fiber and the nutrition is what's going to keep you fuller longer, and the protein. That's what's going to keep you fuller longer.
Yeah.
And then if you're at, like, you say you're 15 minutes until 3 hours, whatever, drink some water and wait a minute. You're a big girl. It's okay. You can do it. You're not going to die.
Yeah. And I think that's good what you just pointed out about the collagen, because out of habit, it's become such a lifestyle that I always put collagen in my coffee. Right. If I'm eating it with my breakfast, sometimes I forget. You don't need it. Yeah, I don't need it. It's not its own separate snack or meal or whatever, or addition. It's like, no, I have a full plate of food. Yeah. So that's a really good reminder, because I know that happens.
Save your dollars. You can have the collagen later in the afternoon for your meal or something. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you think, would you say is the easiest part of your journey has been? Like when you started implementing THM, like, what do you think was the part where you were like, oh, I got that, and you just moved forward?
Well, I think once it became second nature, which took a while, then it was like, it's literally easy. Last night, for instance, at the restaurant, I sat down and they were all looking at the menu, just a very small menu at this place, which I appreciate. And they were like, what do we get? We all got the exact, but it was duplicated times 4. The lady was like, well, that's easy. But I would say you just have to learn food. And what did I tell you guys? The first few months, peanut butter, I thought was a carb the whole time. It's made of nuts. Nuts are fat. I don't know what in the world. But I thought that forever. And then one day I was like, oh, that shake, what is it called? Shake Gone Nuts? Mm-hmm. That's an S. Why is that an S? Oh, peanuts and peanut butter. So anyway, I still lost a little bit. I probably didn't lose as much as I could in the beginning, which I think was 2 pounds. I just went over that with somebody the other day, that it was 2 pounds in the first month or 2. But it's probably because of that. And I don't have vivid memories of that. It was 6 years ago, and I was not documenting my plates. I don't know. I'm sorry. Do y'all remember what y'all did 6 years ago? No, you don't. So I don't remember what I did yesterday, but it's the easiest part. I don't know. I just knew I needed to do it. And so it wasn't a decision. I didn't have to talk myself into it every day, which I see a lot of people having to do. They're having to talk themselves into it. It's hard. I can't have this. I can't have this. You need to turn that boat around and say, I can have a boneless burger. I can have Rebel ice cream. You can have ice cream. You can have pancakes. You can have chocolate pudding. You can have a muffin. You just have to put in a little effort to get those things. And sometimes it's not worth it to me. So I skip it and go to something else,
Right. No, 100%. I agree with that. Because that's it. You can't. Sometimes it's like, it's too much work, but sometimes it's not, like we make pizza in this house, and which is fantastic. My husband makes the dough and it's this big thing. And I just have my own separate. We've got all the stuff chopped up and ready to go. And so I just make my own little serving onto the side. So there are definite ways to get around it. And then other times it's like, if they order something and I'm like, nope, I'm just going to go in the fridge and just grab whatever and just make my own self. It's just easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm more proud of my decision to stay on plan. That means more to me than having something that's going to make me feel bad in an hour. and I just used the phrase before. I hope I get it right. Sometimes I do get it wrong. Nothing tastes as good as healthy feels. I said that right.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that a bajillion, that's not a number, but
Yep.
a whole lot.
Yep.
I believe that
100%. Yep.
Yeah. And I can't give that to people. They have to accept that and apply it to their life.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah. And I think that's the active part. Like you and I had talked about it some with all your trips and stuff, especially that big one that you just took to Florida with your girls, and how active you were. Yeah. Like you couldn't take the chance, and you wouldn't want to. It's not even that you couldn't, but you wouldn't want to be sluggish when you guys are trying to get all the fun
sitting
things
on the toilet at the hotel while they're enjoying all the bajillion dollars I spent on them park tickets. No, thank you. I'm going to experience that.
Yeah. And you would be missing out, because it would be, whether it's a headache or whether it's just slows you down, or like you said, you're on the toilet the whole time, and it's not worth it.
On the toilet.
Right.
Go when you can't.
Right.
Nope.
And not feeling well. For sure. You don't want to miss out. To me, it's instead of missing out on the food, you'd be missing out on the experience.
And that's what I teach. I've taught that the last several years, especially with the holidays. I focus more on especially at the holidays. I focus more on relationships than having Aunt Susie Q's famous dessert.
Yeah.
I've had Aunt Susie Q's famous dessert my whole life. I can skip that.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. And I think it's what you said too about the peanut butter, because I think we kind of share the same off-plan treat.
Yeah.
So that happened a lot with me in the beginning, was like, that was the one thing that I struggled with. So it was finding that peanut butter replacement, with the chocolate and the peanut butter. And so I know I ate in the beginning more peanut butter when I first started, just because.
Wait, did you know it was an S?
I did.
Good. I'm so proud
but I did eat but I probably ate too much of it, because I was trying, like, I was thinking I had to talk myself down off of that, and it worked. It helped me. But so like that idea. So with you said how you only lost a couple pounds, like not only, but in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So do you think, and I mean, you've talked about this some too, but do you think that initial weight loss, or how sometimes it isn't, like how some women have a lot more at first, they drop a lot more at first, but then others don't.
Yeah. Everyone is so different. And the comparison game is going to wreck your whole life.
Yeah.
So stop. I will say another thing with my Trim Healthy Mama experience 6 years ago. There wasn't a comparison game.
Mm-hmm.
I literally just thought of that. I was just doing the plan. And I don't know if I just kind of live my life like that, but because I talk to a lot of people, y'all. I have a lot of one-on-one clients. I have a lot of group clients. So I see this a lot. And I wonder if the culture of coaching has harmed that in a way. Ooh, wow. Wow. That's sad. I don't know how to fix that except to just encourage ladies to and I do this anyway, because I shout out a lot. I share a lot of my clients' wins when they allow me to. And not all of them are dropping 10 pounds in buds. There's some that's 2 pounds and they're like, I lost 2 pounds in buds. I mean, they're pumped, but their list of non-scale victories are long. And I think that's the key. I'm good. Okay. I'm regrouping here. The key. And I do encourage this is the non-scale victories. I quit Diet Coke, which was wrecking my body. Yep. I can keep up with my little kids. I got a smaller size underwear, whatever.
Right.
I feel pride in myself. That's going to get you further than losing 10 pounds. Way further, because you're going to keep going and then see that end game, kind of where I'm living now, I guess. Whew, okay, that kind of got me nervous for a second, because I'm like, oh gosh. But I mean, even people who don't do coaching, if they're on the main THM group, which is an amazing place, but they use it as, they take it negatively, the beautiful things that are happened to others. You've got to let that go. And you just need to be proud of them. Maybe read their story, not just look at their pictures, read their story. because, what is that? You don't know the cost of my alabaster box or whatever.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Like,
I
you
do.
don't know
Yeah.
what it cost me to get here.
Right.
And because it's work.
Right.
Nothing is magical. Nothing happens overnight either. It takes time. And I know people they start rolling their eyes. Well, my body has to heal, or body. It did. My body had to heal. It still is healing. But I'm not laying on the couch in pain anymore. I'm walking, how long? Like 25,000 steps a day.
It was crazy.
Yeah. And I'm like, I darn well am having a crossover. I'm starving over here. I need some fuel. Give me the potatoes and the steak together.
Both.
Yes.
And I think this coaching, actually, when I see it that way, and now I don't have a lot of wherewithal.
What I'm saying though?
I do. I think it's a little bit different in the sense with coaching, I think, is giving you the direction. Right. I think that part has. And I think that what you do, and I'm going to speak because that's all I know is with you, is that it gives women direction. Yeah. And then giving those non-scale victories and scale victories, because we're so inspired. And so the community you've built, man, you start building the relationships, and those non-scale victories that the women are sharing are encouragement. Right. I don't ever feel bad when I see anybody show even their pictures. Like, I am like,
you're rooting for them.
Yes.
That's what you're about to tear up.
I am. It's exciting because you don't have to feel like the comparison pictures, I think, are so good because they are motivating. Mm-hmm. I think it's more of like when you get the outside of coaching, like outside, and you see stuff pop up and you have you don't know anything about anything. You don't know what they're eating. Maybe they're eating nothing. I mean, maybe they're doing who knows what to their bodies to get there. That gets overwhelming because they don't talk about the story. Just like you were saying, you don't know what they did. You don't know how they got there, and it could have been not healthy. Yeah. So I think by your lady sharing and you helping share their story helps that. Yeah. Makes it so that like these people have stories that go with what they're working hard to achieve.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm so thankful that they sharing lately. It's been a whole lot because I had Buds End and One-on-One End and Blooms, and everybody has been so generous sharing, giving permission. Not everybody gives permission. So there's as many as you guys have seen, there's that many that don't give permission that I just get the privilege of reading. And it is a beautiful thing. It really is. And when you don't see pictures, those are the ones who did not want their progress shared, but they didn't mind their review being shared and like their non-scale victory. And I'm so appreciative for that because yes, it does help promote yes, it does. I mean, that's just the nature of anything. People want to see reviews. You want to look at a product on Amazon, you're going to read all the 100,000 reviews, and so that's my way of having reviews, but also cheering for them and being proud. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that you emphasize that I do. Like you said, you explained that it is a positive side effect of that, but that's not why you want these women lifted up.
And I want people to know what's possible.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Okay. I don't even know what the original question was. That was.
I know, right? Well, they're kind of blurring together. It's actually going quite nicely because I picked some random ones, and so I'm getting invaded.
It's okay. It's okay.
So now I'm going to lose my train of thought.
It's okay. Just ask me the next question. It's fine.
Moving on. And I know this is also something you've talked about on your podcast before, and in like your review of your Trimiversary is the family aspect of it, because they still ask a lot about all your people, whether some are on plan, some are not, incorporating that. And I know you kind of already talked about that, but it was talked about a lot. And I think it's like what you shared before. Some are on your family, some aren't, and it's still make it work.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll start at the top with Wes Gaskin. Okay. So a year ago-ish, he actually went to a functional medicine nutritionist type person that wanted to, help him with some different things. And they gave him this eating plan and she was going to follow. And he went, "You don't know who my wife is." It's the best ever. Y'all can't see Darlene, but she's cracking up. So we came home and I helped him get more on plan. Well, hunting season came along and I'm not throwing him under the bus because he would own this if He's actually, I think, in the front yard. He'd probably come in and go, yep, that's exactly, yep, I sure did. So, but I will say he eats any THM recipe that I make as a meal or that is available for him to try. He'll try. He don't care. And normally, I would say 99% of the time, he likes it. There's recipes that I've made for dinner that I was like, I will never make that again. Ugh. And he's like, what's wrong? Like he's Joey eating Rachel's trifle that had all the things in it all for his lady fingers pudding custard and that had the meat and the beans or whatever. Oh, bless it. He was like, it's good. That's the way that Wes is. Like he's happy to eat it. And then I think his thing is he's out and about so much because of his job. Eating a bunless burger to him is just weird. So he does get salad. He has been, I think, I'm not with him all the time, but trending towards making better decisions when he is doing that. He did quit drinking Cokes a long time ago. That was huge for him. It's huge. He chooses unsweet tea. He drinks his coffee with unsweetened coconut milk, and that's it. So he has made a lot of changes. If we go out to eat, he might get a burger and fries and eat the bun and the fries. So it's fine. So that's the way he does. He does ask me a lot of questions. I made the Trim Healthy Indulgence coffee cake yesterday live in group coaching. He came in, he was like, he knew I was making it. And so he's like, can I just have this for lunch? I'm like, can you add some veggies to it? He's like, yeah. So that's what he ate. No, it wasn't maxed out protein. Oh my gosh, y'all, it's okay. But, it's still on plan and he enjoyed that cake. So Bella, she would be the least on plan of the 7 Gaskins, and God bless her. It's just the way she is. But she also uses collagen every day. She eats more vegetables than she used to. She will eat, all 7 of us will eat the meals that I prepare that are on plan. I never get any, pushback from that ever the whole time. And then Lily would be making a little more, even like when we go out to eat, Lily's going to make a more on plan decision. And then Katie would be even more than that. Like she takes it upon herself to do a lot of things. She is very health minded. If you haven't listened to her podcast where she talked about her alopecia journey, autoimmune, a lot of things happened to her when she was very young, kindergarten and first grade. So she has a little more incentive and more reason to be more on plan, I guess, kind of like me as well, because of all of that health stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's not to say that she doesn't go off plan, but she knows that dairy is not her friend. So like when we were on the trip, she was like, no, I'm not gonna get that ice cream because no. So she knows. And then the boys, it's pretty much the same thing. I mean, my Coach Amy's yogurt banana split, they have every day, I think, and they make it themselves. It has no sugar in it, and they do fine. So they've never really had an option when it comes to meals. Whatever we fix, they eat. Shut up. And that's how we do the kids. We have all done all of them. But I've never forced them to be 100% on plan. I don't think that's the way to pull people over. So yeah. Having some issues. It's okay. That's kind of all I wanted to say about that. Do I need to talk some more though? No? Okay. All right.
Do you have a current obstacle that's your hardest right now, having been 6 years in?
I guess for me, it would be choosing when to have a crossover and when not to have a crossover, because I would not say that I'm actively trying to lose weight, but I do like to stay in a certain range. And also knowing and listening to my body has been key. And there's some people, they're like, listening to your what now? What you talking about? But I know when I need an S, and I know what I need to E. And I also know when I need a crossover or an FP or when it will be okay to do those, I guess you'd say. I try to shoot for 1 fuel pull a day, typically in the afternoon. I don't always do that. But that's my general go-to. And then I try to have at least 1 E a day. Something that I do most of the time is 2 S, 1 E, and the next day 2 E, 1 S. I don't do it every day though. It doesn't always happen. But just kind of thinking through that. And some days it's just too much. Just like I don't make the 3-layer cakes. Some days I'm just like, you know what, my food's on plan. We're going to move right on along. It's going to be okay. But if we go to a restaurant, like last night, I had a crossover. Yesterday, the day before, I had a crossover, and the day before that, I had a crossover. So today, I'm kind of like, okay, time to whoa that horse. Let's not do a crossovers for a couple days, just because I don't want, it will make you gain weight. Crossovers make you gain weight. It's tandem fueling in a discussion. And so even though I'm at goal weight, which this blows a lot of people's minds, I still get asked about this, like with brand new one-on-ones. Lately, I've had a lot of one-on-ones come to me. I don't think they have followed me for very long, which is a little weird, because I feel like I'm having to explain a lot of things. Totally fine, but it is just a little odd. I'm like, you paid me all that money and you don't know that much about me? Okay, awesome. Okay, let's go. And I also know that not everybody is glued to the Facebook and watching all the things, and that's great. I think that's wonderful. My girl here don't have Facebook. So stupid. No, I'm just kidding. I rag her all the time about it. I'm like, well, you wouldn't know this because
I don't think I'd get so distracted. I think it would really be hard for my personality. I think I would get like I would end up staring at something for far too long
for
than
sure.
I should
And
have.
I get caught in that. I'm not gonna lie, I do. I'll go to Facebook to make a post, and then I'm in like reels 20 minutes deep, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be making a post, you ding dong. So yeah, I do actually commend you all for that. But it's just funny when I'm just saying things that I feel like I've said 900 times, and they're just looking at me, and I'm like, have you ever heard me say this? And they're like, no. Oh, okay then. All right. Well, that's great. So let's revisit this. And so the crossover thing, I would say, would be an obstacle, just to kind of gauging when is the right time to do it. And to me, THM, or being healthy, having healthy lifestyle, it is a constant experiment, figuring out what works best, and it changes. But I find that exciting. I do.
I think that's super impressive too, what you were saying about Katie, because I think that happens to us. We'll have moments where we remember. Now hers, I don't know if it necessarily how bad she felt like inside, but the idea that she has memories and she knows that this has helped her recover. Right. This has helped support her body. So I think that happens a lot with, like, if you can remember how bad you felt. So when it starts to get hard, you're like, okay, but I know how hard. Right. Yeah. It can be so much worse. So I think that reflection is awesome. So that's probably helps her. She has a point that she can reference back to. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's super helpful that she does that. Okay.
How long have we been doing this?
I have no idea.
Let me check and see what time our. Oh, about 35 minutes. Okay, keep going.
35. Okay. Let's see. There was one other one that I wrote down. Do you get tired of, okay, so it's all about your planning, your meal planning, those kind of things. So when you build your menu, and I know how you explain that in coaching, like how you sit down and build your menu. Does fatigue come into that at all? Or is it still tied together with just the idea that you have to eat? So
you're talking about kitchen fatigue?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So knowing that you plan your menu, but I think that helps you. So I don't want to answer for you, but it seems like, because you plan it out and it's done, so you don't have to think about it.
Right. Yes. So I really like having what I do in coaching. All of my clients have access to my weekly menus, and it says on the breakfast, I typically eat eggs and bacon or PPP, which I need to edit that because I couldn't remember last time I ate PPP, because that's kind of a lie. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that, but I just thought about it right now. But I do have an S and an E option there from whatever cookbook I'm using, and then an S and an E option for lunch. So breakfast, lunch. And then those are usually the single serve recipes that are in the cookbooks, which are amazing when you guys are getting started, especially if you're ordering pizza for your family, find something that's pizza, area, for you, whatever. And then I do 4 suppers, 2 S, 2 E, because we're going to have leftovers. We're going to go out to eat one night, and it works out. You end up having plenty of food, and we have 7 people. So if it can work for me, it'll work for you. Okay, I'm just saying. And then I also have snacks. I generally do a fuel pull, but I do add in other ideas. So this week, for instance, I had for breakfast, I don't know what the S was. I think it was keto granola and yogurt with berries was my S idea. So simple. And the next one was Coach Jessica's soaked blueberry muffins that are amazing. Oh, I have those on my counter. I need to go mix those up. Whoops, I just remembered that. So So those were the E option for breakfast, which would carry over to an E snack or an E dessert or an E lunch, whatever floats your boat. And then the suppers, what I did this time, we just instituted this again, is my girls. I said, hello, 3 teenage daughters that are able to cook in the kitchen, and I don't have to because I work 60 hours plus a week. What recipe would you like to make? And so I got fajitas, chili, and poppy seed chicken. So what I did for I just rolled this on into my menu. I chose a poppy seed E from Brianna Thomas. It's on the websites, on the internet. So you can find that ETHM poppy seed chicken, Brianna Thomas. Very, very good. And then I did Coach JJ's chili. Coach Jennifer Joe, my best friend. She has a delicious chili. It is incredible, out of this world. And then I also chose slow fajitas from Trim Healthy Cookbook. It is delicious. And it's a crock pot recipe. So all the winning, so that kid is going to be really excited. So she's just going to have to remember to thaw the meat stuff in the crock pot and then get all the fixings out. And I don't remember what the other one is. Oh, yeah. The sliced sausage, onion, peppers, cabbage. That's just a really easy one to do. So I wanted some easy things. I don't want to be slaving over. I don't want to do. I want things to be fast and quick and efficient and delicious. And you can do it. You can do it. And so that is new, because we had been eating out a lot recently. Now we've all been out of town, kind of all that craziness. Baseball practice is starting again and all of that. And so we just needed to kind of rein that budget in from eating out, because 7 people eating out is nuts. And then also I really like having things that can be quick. So we can have breakfast for supper. You can make that very easy. Y'all, you know what? You can eat a sandwich. You can. It's okay. And I love a turkey sandwich. I really get excited about them sometimes. It's kind of silly. Yeah. So yeah, I just really think keeping that simple. And then the menu, what was the specific question we asked about? I know it was about fatigue and planning.
Yeah, it was just fatigue, having when you're in the kitchen and knowing you have to cook and then getting tired of having to do that. So like you said with your girls, and just to be an encouragement, like all my people, they don't cook yet. They're too small. But I kind of do the same idea, like, okay, so what do you like? And I try to get it planned out that way. Like I think I know that, a couple of children like this and a couple of children like that. And then I just incorporate that. But it's also, I don't, like you say, I don't reinvent the wheel a lot with this stuff. Tuesdays we're having tacos. And I know that's the whole, Taco Tuesday cliche thing. But the whole point is,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. We're having it, that's just what we're going to have every week. Or, there's certain recipes that we have it every week, and it's okay because it's just fuel, and it's just food. And it's okay.
Well, and definitely, choosing one, if you're going to cook out of the cookbooks because you need that guidance, pick one. You're only going to cook out a Trim Healthy Cookbook this week. That's it. That way you're not saying, oh, was it Table? Was it Cookbook? Was it Brianna Thomas's? Was it this other person's? Was it this screenshot that I made? Where did that picture go? That will drive you people nuts. Don't do that to yourself. Or you could do coaching and get a menu every week.
And it gives you all the fresh ideas.
Yes.
Because there is that fatigue. I think more for fatigue is just like stagnant. Like you're like, okay, we do have this.
And people they panic in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. No, I don't panic. I look at my paper and go, oh yeah, I need to eat, so I'm gonna do that one. Great, done, check.
Right. And then the pantry, the same idea. Like, what do you have? Like, just take a glance at what you already have in there and see if you can just use up something that you haven't made in a while or something.
Yeah. I have so much like on-plan pasta in my pantry. And I'm like, I need to do something with this. So next week I'll probably use that somewhere. Yeah.
Because when you find it,
you get it.
You're like, oh, this is all. Yeah, because sometimes those are few and far between when you find something. And so that I can understand that, because it's hard to find a lot of that here, is finding different ones that might have better palatability or whatever it's called.
Yes, for sure. It's so funny. It's so funny how we are.
Yeah.
I had somebody, I can't remember. Oh, who was it? Was it Sarah White? That did not want to buy groceries except for like the essentials for like January. Like she wanted to use up her freezer and her pantry. I'm like, you go, girl. I don't know that I could do that. I really don't know that I could. I mean, I could if I set my mind to it. It would be difficult.
Ours was a box freezer thing. Like we have, you know how box freezers, the bottom,
Yeah.
yeah, out of sight. And so the idea, like, okay, go through it, pull it up, and get it done because it could be buried under there for a very
Forever.
long
Yeah.
time.
That's a good challenge though.
Yeah.
Really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever crave real sugar?
No.
Yeah.
Ugh. I did have that off-plan dessert at Universal our last night. It was creme brulee, and I've talked about this. Okay, y'all see this little coaster. Y'all see this little coaster? I think the little container that the creme brulee is in would fit in this and be able to move around. Like it was so small, and then it was only like that deep, and it had berries. It was so good. My normal go-to, I've told everybody, would be a Reese's Sonic Blast with extra Reese's. That's what I would have gotten. A medium, not the little mini one. No, why would I get mini? So this is pre-THM, okay? No, I have had one of those since I was in the 6 years. Yes, I have. I'm gonna be honest. But comparing that normal dessert or whatever, just because I was in town and went and ordered it, no reason. That blast, oh my gosh, the sugar and the calories that were in that compared to that creme brulee that I got in Portofino Bay at Universal Studios that looks just like Beautimus, Italy. Oh, it was so amazing. And I enjoyed it sitting by my best friend, rounding out our trip. It was so special. And I was like, did you see all the calories I burned today? And I didn't want to like say it canceled out because it still was sugar. I will say I did not have any consequences, but once again, it was really a really small amount. And I made a choice, and I decided the day before that I was going to do this. I didn't just say, yeah, give me dessert after my meal. I didn't do that. So anyway, yeah, but I wouldn't say that I crave sugar now.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to what you were saying before. It's like that moment, you were having that moment, and it was a small, like little, what you shared was so different than what you would have partook in before. And you did it at the end of your trip. So it wasn't, something that could have.
My last night in Italy.
Oh my goodness. So now, and you've talked about this before, is you don't necessarily weigh yourself. You go more off of kind of how you're feeling. Like you said, if you're knowing that you've had more crossovers, or if things are feeling a little bit more snug. So that's kind of how you gauge, right? Is that how you gauge?
I do weigh either once a week or once a month. It's not like, oh, I have to weigh, la la la. And it's funny because sometimes, you wake up and you feel a little skinnier, you know what I mean? And you're like, oh, that's usually when I get the higher number. And you're just like, I'm throwing the scale in the yard. Isn't that the dumbest? It's so dumb. So that happens to me too, everyone. So I on Tuesday, I felt, I don't know, maybe I thought it was Wednesday. That's probably what happened. So I weighed and it was like 135.1 or something. And then on Wednesday, the day that I was actually tracking my weight for something I was doing specific, again, 136.7. Some of you people would lose your ever loving mind if you gained that much in a day. What did I do? Y'all, you know what happened? There was a cloud in the sky. That's what happened. Like, there's no rhyme or reason. It just is what it is. But I still know that my size 4 zip, and y'all are probably like, oh, if I could just get in a 12. Great, get in your 12. That's where I started, y'all. That's where I started. But I don't know. No, I don't weigh every day. I don't know what all to say about that. I have tracked my measurements too. Let me see. This is the one I did. I lost 1 inch in a month. I lost 1 inch off my waist. That's all I lost. And not even a whole pound. Yeah, we were doing something special in Blooms. I don't want to get into that on my podcast. Sorry. So yeah, and that was still after doing a lot of crossovers, but I was doing all of that activity as well. So I really think that was helpful. And it was 1 crossover a day. And I didn't even do it every day, maybe 3 in a row, which is what I've done right now at home.
I think it's so foreign to a lot of people. Maybe I'm just speaking out of turn, because this is, to me, it's like the idea of that whole muscle mass, like how much muscle you have. And I know they've been talking about it more like on the potties and stuff like that too, is like that the inches versus the weight. Like you can be
Oh,
losing inches. And I think that's
yes.
why it's so awesome that you do the non-scales, because it's like your clothes can be changing, all these things can be different. And you go and that day, that cracks me up because that happens. You're like, I wasn't planning on weighing today, but I am going to,
Feeling
because
good.
yeah, I'm like, whoa, light as feather. And then you get on there and you're like, okay, that was
What?
a bad idea. My scale needs new batteries.
Yes.
Something's wrong.
I'm throwing this thing away.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is wrong.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool that you point that out though too, is it's like the weight didn't change maybe necessarily, but you're still being able to refine your muscle.
Yeah.
That composition,
Yeah.
I guess is a better word.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm right now, I think I'm still that 136 point something another, 8, 9, 10, whatever. Might be 137, who knows? But my muscle is not between 95 and 96 pounds muscle. That's nuts. I even reached out to another coach, Coach Charlotte with Time and Compass. She's another THM coach. I reached out to her last year sometime. I'm like, is this right? Like, am I doing this right? Is this really what this is? And she's like, yep, you're pretty much doing it all right. There was a couple things she kind of thought I might could do. It just didn't work out for the way that I have to do things with time and my thyroid pill and all that. But I listened to her and I applied what I could, and it was really cool. Yep.
And that's I think so big as far as what you get from coaching is there's so many ideas that you think you've got it all covered. You think you've got it all covered and you don't. Mm-hmm. So those things can come in, but that taste of victory, man, hold on to those little, like when people have that taste of victory and like that, I really think keeps you motivated.
Mm-hmm. It does. And you've got to focus on those victories, because just like I tell you guys, you can't just get on a ladder and the spaces be 5 feet apart. You can't reach that. You can't reach for the stars and expect not to burn out. It's that same burnout thing, like going that fast or thinking you got to do all this. If making one meal a day on plan is what you need to do to get consistent, do it. Do the little things, do the tiny little boops, because for some people, having one meal a day on plan is reaching far. It is to them. But to me, that's okay, let's just get a meal on plan. Okay, come on. But everybody has such different things. And I think it's our entire world. It's our society. Everyone is different. Cannot compare. I just have to help each person reach what they need. And I love that I'm able to do that, especially for one-on-one, but I feel like I can also help my group clients even in that way as well. Mm-hmm.
All right. So what do you think? Where are we at on time?
Maybe one more.
Okay. So this one kind of goes back. Maybe I probably should have started with this one.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna refine my Barbara Walter skills here. You've talked about this some, but what made you decide to start Trim Helping? Oh,
so I did not like the way that I looked. And I was about to have to buy extra large in clothes. And I said that out loud to Wes, and he just kind of looked at me. He was not negative about it. He probably didn't remember this conversation, but he was just kind of like, really? Yeah. So my best friend Jennifer had found out about THM through our friend Christy, and we were on a trip and she brought the cookbook. And so I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, this stuff looks okay. And so she was like, well, you have to do, she was talking about separating the fuels. And back then I'm like, what? Dude, what? Damn, because you're like, I don't know. It's like an algebraic equation or whatever, or really worse than that. To some people, because if you don't understand food, it's not gonna make any sense, because you can think peanut butter is a carb all day. So it's not, it's a fat, just so y'all know, clear that up. Somebody go write in and say, I was given bad information. Gosh, mercy. The messages that I get, oh my, oh me, oh my. But anyway, so Darlene is dying. Y'all can't see her because she's muted. Oh, but anyway, so we look at it. I borrowed a book, and I remember coming home from that trip and getting on the website and looking at the price of the products. And I thought, I can't do this because I can't afford these products. So I kind of let it go. And then Jennifer was like, so what are you doing? How do you think about Jim? And I'm like, girl, I can't afford all that. She goes, no. You don't have to have the products. You can just change the way that you normally eat. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. So that's what I started doing. And then a little at a time, I didn't mind making recipes out of a cookbook. It didn't bother me at all. I've done that before. Jerry Seinfeld's wife, Jessica, had this really cool thing where she had veggies and all the soups and the casseroles and stuff and the brownies. And I'm like, when I saw Cry No More brownies, which I've only made once and hated it, and I never made it again, never will do it. And I know people love it, and I probably would like it now, but it's like, I can't. It's like traumatic. But anyway, they were so bad. It probably was the sweetener we were using, and I don't know what it was, so don't ask. But anyway, yeah, I was a miserable person, and I needed help, and it seemed like this was the answer. And as y'all know, it was. And it was a challenge. I didn't have, all the things that y'all listening have now. I didn't have that. We didn't have fuel pull brownie bars. We didn't have cookies. I know they're not making those anymore, but like we didn't have stuff like that. Like you had to be creative, and you had to think out of the box, and you had to not be a princess and be okay with stuff sometimes. I had a lot of fails. I had a lot of tears. I had a lot of dishes. And I don't do those things anymore. I just make food. I cook food. One of Tiffany today, there was a lady that said something to her. She was like, do you ever eat real people food? And Tiffany, y'all just got to know her. She was like, girl, I eat more real people food than you do. I was like, that is amazing, because so many people eat out of a box. I don't eat out of a box. I eat beautiful, fresh food. And I love that because I know what it's doing for me. I'm a certified nutrition coach also. And that actually, to go back to why, that has been pinned in the back of my heart since Lily was a baby. She's 16. And so 10 years later, when I found out about THM, it already was something that was important to me, food. And so I think that was helpful. And also I knew that food could heal my body. And I had a lot of problems. And so I was very motivated by that. And then just seeing the results that I had was amazing. And I wanted to always feel that way. And so that's how I feel like I've been able to get it going. But another thing that's a little, and I just talked about this somewhere else this morning. I am important to me. And there's a lot of people that would say, well, I'm important to myself. No, you're not. And you have to find that place. There's probably people looking like, what y'all about? You don't feel that you are important, and you do not make good decisions for yourself. And there's a lot of people that self-sabotage, and they're like, why do I do this? There's something deep down that you feel unworthy to have good things happen to you. And I can't fix that. I can bring it to light, make you think about it, but that's something that you and God and a counselor needs to work through. And maybe even just thinking about it and realizing it will be helpful, I think. But I knew that I had to take care of myself, or I was not going to be able to take care of my family. I was not. And I don't put them off. They're not unimportant to me. It was kind of a joke about fixing plates. And what do you make your girls for breakfast? I don't make my girls their breakfast. They're grown. I haven't done that for years. But I do put myself first a lot. I know Darlene, she'll make her kids plates, they'll eat, and then she fixes hers. She's still with them while they're eating. Who cares that she's not eating too? Maybe it's not time for her to eat yet. It's okay. I don't know. There's a whole lot to that, but.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like it's definitely like I think there's a balance in finding what, like, dinners are important. So sitting
Sure.
down and
Right.
dinners are important and that kind of thing. And, but when maybe your husband's gone, or however you work your home, and even if you're working and you have an outside of the home job, and so that would make sense why dinner is more important too, because
Right.
that's when you
Everybody's
get
at home. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And so it's picking the other two meals, how you want to spend them. I don't do big, I've never been, and I don't know if it's because I grew up not being a huge breakfast person. Now, granted, I wasn't growing up doing healthy eating either, but my mom always had to find like, have some toast, eat something, don't leave the house without some food, you know, as we do as we want to
Yeah.
feed.
Right.
So breakfast is a challenge for me in the sense that I have little people, so I make sure they have their breakfast, but it's super easy. I am not the pancakes every other day kind of mom, or
No.
the like I'm just not, and that's okay if you are. I had a good friend when I lived back on the East Coast, and that's what she did. She would pre-make them and they would have pancakes a lot. But that idea of trying to figure out which part is what you can do, because then I can eat whatever, whether I'm going to make a shake or whether I'm going to have eggs or whatever. It's still, they're important. They're fed. It's just not I've chosen that breakfast isn't going to be a huge ordeal every morning.
Production. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of takes some of that stress
Pressure.
off. So if there's a certain stress time of the day, then maybe that's
Take the pressure off.
yeah.
Take the
'Cause
lid
they're
off your
well-fed.
kettle and calm
Yes.
down.
But you know, like I know my children are well fed throughout the day. They are very well fed and balanced. So it's fine.
It is. It's fine. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be just fine.
I have a client that'll message me. She goes, "You just told me that I'm gonna be fine." I was like, "Oh, I'm so glad." So I live in their heads, apparently. Do I live in your head, Darlene?
100%. It's gonna be just fine. This is gonna be just fine.
Let me okay.
Yep. That's so
So
funny.
funny. Oh, I hope that this made sense.
I know. I know. That's what I was thinking too. I'm like, okay, let's hope I didn't rabbit trail too bad.
You did great.
I'm gonna perfect.
How I did.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was fantastic.
Henry's losing his mind. Can you hear him?
Now I can, yes. A second ago, but now I can hear him.
There's somebody here and he don't like it, y'all. He don't like it. All right. Well, thank you, Darlene.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure.
You're the
I love
best.
talking and interviewing you.
Well, so that was a few questions off the list.
Yep.
And hopefully we'll get to do this once a month. And I'm looking forward to next week there being a client interview. Clients. Oh my gosh, bless them. All right. You want to tell them bye?
I do. Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.